Hey guys, hope everybody's well and safe. Robert Yusufov again. I wanted to just give you an update in regards to this whole 90-day thing with the difference of forbearance and deferment. It's like it's an April Fool's joke that's being played on banks right now. Just a huge misconception of what people are understanding. I'm getting phone calls about my bank allowed me for 90 days. Some banks are allowing you to go longer than that. So I took it on my personal loan. I called up, and when I was on the phone with this Wells Fargo representative, he's reading off of a script. Yeah, you don't have to pay for 90 days. They're not. Again, every single bank is going to be different. Every single bank is going to be asking things just based on how the loan was originally put together. But my question was, what happens on the 120th payment? What happens on the fourth month? And I just couldn't get an answer. Back and forth. He kept asking somebody else, and he says, nobody asked us what happens on the fourth month. Taxes and insurance. I asked what happens with tax and insurance payments. I couldn't get an answer. So the whole thing was predicated just on just for the next 3 months. But nobody was able to tell me what happens with those payments that weren't made. Are the payments going to be due in full? Are the payments going to be put in the back of the loan? So today, as a matter of fact, on CNBC, Diana came out and she said, yeah, you don't have to make monthly payments. Banks are doing forbearance. There's a huge misunderstanding and a big gap of unclarity over here. Forbearance and deferment are two different things. Like for those that took out student loans were deferred until you finish school, which means that those payments were due, but not until you finished or graduated school, and then there was interest that was accrued on it, but that's a deferment. Forbearance is not the same thing as a deferment. Your money is still due. The question is it going to be due on the 31st, after the 90 days are up? Is it due in full? Is the payment due broken up? Is it going to be a balloon payment? Is it going to be a modified payment? And if you remember back in 2008, when the whole modification grant thing started, modifications prevented you from doing mortgages, refinances, debt consolidation, anything for 4 years. That's how serious it was. If you did a modification, or if a modification showed up on your credit report, 4 years you couldn't get a loan. To some that's important, to some it's not. Foreclosures prevented you from getting a mortgage for 7 years. And again, we're seeing a whole repeat in this right now. I spoke to a credit expert who told me that the monthly payments that you miss, the credit report will not show that it's paid as agreed, and they will not show that there was a payment made. Nor will some banks might say payment missed, some banks might report you late, but the way that it's technically supposed to be done is that a payment, they cannot report you late. But there will be a gap of 3 months of payments not made, meaning that it's not late and it's not paid on time. Future banks are going to interpret this as loan was modified and not paid as agreed. When you see not paid as agreed, it changes the whole dynamic of the loan that you're going to try to take out in the future. If you really are unemployed, I shouldn't say unemployed. There are people that were living paycheck to paycheck and literally cannot make a mortgage payment because they don't have anything saved up. They don't have anything that they can make a monthly mortgage payment for. And this is what really this whole relief was supposed to be meant for those people that cannot make those mortgage payments. If you have savings, if you have a property, if you have an investment, if you have a second home, if you could try to sell that property, again, to everybody, they're going to have different understandings on this, but this is the reason why we do investments. We buy investment property for times like this so that when we could sell it, we have some equity we could use up on it, sell the property, use the equity, make your mortgage payments, just become liquid a little bit. Some people might not want to sell, but if you have reserves and you're able to make your monthly payments for the next 2, 3, 4 months, nobody knows what's going to happen beyond that. But if you could make your monthly payments, make your payments. Do yourself a favor. Save the headache for later on. Some people are thinking, well, if others aren't paying, why am I paying? Again, forbearance is not a payment forgiven. It's not like your monthly payments are going to be going away just by not paying them. You're just postponing them. You're either postponing it to be paid on the 4th month, on the 5th month, or it's going to be put on the back of the loan. No, there's no clarification yet. You could read tons of different articles. You could read everything online. No bank either understands this themselves right now, nor can they give you a direct answer as to what's going to happen on the 4th month. So please just understand this. If you're looking to take a loan later on, if you're looking to do that consolidation, these next 3 months are going to be super important. If you could pay your mortgage payment, pay it, or get something in writing from your servicer. I just can't stress that enough. Make sure it's not a balloon payment that's going to be due. Make sure that it's not a modification that's going to be on your loan. Make sure that the credit will not list in any negative way. There will be a hole in the credit, but it's just the way how they report it and how they list it. I just don't want you to be hurt later on if you don't have to. Caliber, for instance, they're a huge servicer. Caliber goes on. They were doing an interview today, and Caliber said yesterday over 8,000 people called in to do a forbearance on these payments. Caliber said, we can't handle this. They still owe money to their end investor. Caliber is just a servicer. Caliber, Quicken Loans, Chase City, they just service their loans. There's still an end investor that they owe the money to, that they borrowed money when they gave out these loans. And what's being created right now is for people that are closing their loans. If you can't make your first monthly payment, not investors, but the servicing companies such as Caliber, such as Quicken, all these banks are going for margin calls. These margin calls are going to create a huge hole in the banking industry, going similar to what happened in 2008. So what happens, it's like, imagine you're working, you provide a service, you're promised to be paid within 90 days, person disappears and says, sorry, I can't pay you anymore. That's the same exact thing of what's going to be happening to these banks as servicers. Their investors are still saying, you still owe us the money. We gave you, example, $1 million under a certain percentage. If you don't pay it for us, we need to get 10% on our money every single month. Servicers then go on margin calls to try to get that money to pay their investors. This is going to create an ugly paradigm for the next few months of how they're going to be getting paid. So again, to avoid losing equity in your property, to avoid issues later on, if you can't pay your mortgage payment, pay your mortgage payment. There's different type of relief acts that are being done for student loans, for small business loans. Again, it's not clear yet. All we know is that there was a bill to print out $2.2 trillion of money to be going out later on. Some companies are receiving it. It was meant for small businesses. But again, there's no clarity on when the payback is due and what documents and what proof they're going to be asking for. I know there's great accounting firms that are helping with those business applications right now. If you really are in need, it's one thing, but if you can pay it, if you have reserves, it's something else. Just understand, forbearance and deferment are two different things. It's not a loan forgiveness. It's not money that you don't have to pay back at any time. So just be very clear on this aspect. If you have any questions, if there's anything that I can help you with, I'll be more than happy to guide you. As far as if it's a small business loan, I could refer you to people that are doing it. If it's anything in regards to a mortgage question, I will try to help the best that I can. But just, again, be smart about this. Don't make the same mistakes that people did in 2008. And most important, stay safe, take care of yourself, and be in touch. Bye-bye.